What is up, y'all? We back in the house. Gal and myself, Nolan Hack. How you doing, Gal?
I'm doing. I'm doing. I've just been actually relaxing this week more since I'm out of school for now.
Relaxing is needed for the two of us, and that's what I've been trying to do. It's good to hear that you're on the same page there. But welcome everybody to Who's Culture. I think we're on our 9th episode.
I have no idea. I lost count.
We've done so many.
Yes. Gotta be in the double digits. No, we're not. I know that.
We're going to Pizza Hut for our 10th episode.
There you go. Oh, God.
Well, it won't be Papa John's. We know that much.
No. That's the alt-right pizza.
Oh, boy. This episode of Who's Culture is sponsored by the alt-black.
There you go.
It's founding chairman Barack Obama.
Oh.
And its main funder, Bob Johnson, who used to own BET. So, yeah. So, top of the show, we have a man named T.J. Miller.
I was just reading this Daily Beast article.
Just, what a punk. Calling him a punk would be an understatement, I think.
Now, first of all, have you even ever heard of this show?
Yes, Silicon Valley.
Okay.
I tried it out. Wasn't for me.
Okay, I haven't heard of it. That's why I wanted to ask.
It's for nerds love it.
Oh,
From what I understand, nerds love it. It's about becoming I guess you could say, like the king or queens of Silicon Valley and building Fortune 500 tech companies and that whole thing. The backstabbing. It came in after the Social Network movie kind of rode those coattails.
Gotcha.
But what this guy did, sheesh. And apparently, he also has sent out some either texts or tweets or something. I didn't read the whole thing, but also he's a very transphobic individual. This T.J. Miller, and if you don't know, the main thing that people are getting angry for him with is he allegedly sexually assaulted somebody and punched them. So you rape a woman and punch her. That's great. But it seems, it's just how many more, and there's going to be a lot more, but you just wonder how far is this going to go to the point of, okay, how many more men, and women, mostly men obviously, are going to be called out. But then when do we get to the point where, okay, well, that's enough. We have to change the game. We can't have this anymore. We can't have men, white men on every single board and CEO of every production company. There has to be changes while we shoot television and film. More security. I don't want to say more cameras, but I mean, what's your take on that, Gal?
Oh, you've got to change the culture. If you actually want it to stop, you've got to change the culture. And that is not an easy thing to do. Humans don't like change in any way, shape, or form. They fight back, hence how we got here today. But I don't know if... I don't really see how this is going to actually stop now once it's started. The conversation has started. Some people are being held accountable. Definitely not all.
And none are going to prison, as far as I know. Or jail.
Exactly. And do we see, like, the exception of Weinstein's the only one who's even facing any kind of charges that I've heard of.
Cosby's had a civil thing, and they've talked about criminal charges.
Well, the issue with Cosby is that the statute of limitations was out.
Right.
So they can't do criminal charges.
Which you think we should probably get rid of that?
Yeah, you would think that rape wouldn't have a statute of limitations, but, it's America.
Who killed JFK? We have to find out. The statute of limitations. No, burn everything. Burn all the files.
Hey, I just learned this morning that up until, I'm not exactly sure what date it changed, but I know in 1929, there was a statute of limitations on murder for 3 years. I did not know that. And you'd think that'd be something I know, especially, I'm shocked as hell to find that out. So as long as you made it that 3.5 years, then you can confess. So, like, OJ would have been okay.
Well, I changed OJ's color.
I know.
Yeah. Because I try not to go on a long tangent, but his color changed in his own mind once the shit hit the fan.
You are absolutely right.
Okay. And this is a man who said, I'm not black, I'm OJ.
Yes, you're absolutely correct.
And we're going to talk about him a little later. Mr. Paul Mooney, my favorite comedian in the world. Paul Mooney has a great line. OJ got his nigga wake up call after the.
Oh God, I've never heard that.
It is a great piece of comedy, and Mooney is amazing. But there's some stuff to tell about why Mooney, other than his comedy, shouldn't be praised at all, and I'm broken up over that. We're actually going to have a guest in the second hour. Her name is Fallon. She is a wonderful writer. You can also find her work on fallenkitty.com. Her name's pronounced Fallon, but the website is Fallen Kitty IE. And how in the world are we supposed to be fans of these celebrities? Because especially with the 24-hour news cycle, especially with the Twitterverse, and the cameras everywhere, the cell phone, and the megapixel zoom from Samsung. How are we supposed to be fans of these people? Because every 5 minutes, that dude just did this. That girl just did this. It's very difficult. And I'm just worried. I'm very, very paranoid that someday in the future, there's going to be a story coming out that one of my favorite celebrities, my favorite actor, and you just hear Lester Holt of NBC News going, well, we have breaking news. Apparently, they found a swastika flag in Jeff Goldblum's basement.
Oh, nice.
I would just fall over and have a seizure.
I would have never pictured Jeff Goldblum as being your favorite actor.
Well, there's no. Kooky, he's crazy.
Think of all the movies he's been in. Yeah.
And Jurassic Park's great. He has this bizarre charm.
What's the movie from the 80s where he turns into a bug? The Fly?
Yeah.
I love that movie.
He's still very attractive. He's to me, he's one of those dudes just like, he's white, but he's pretty damn dope. Okay, he got a little rhythm to him. But
hey, mine is Keanu Reeves. When that happens, I will have nothing else.
When is John Wick 10 coming out?
We're not even through John Wick 3.
It's so many sequels all over the place. We're on Fast and the Furious 48. So.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm still waiting for the new Bill and Ted movie, so.
Really? They're coming out with that?
Well, they've been talking about it for 5 years, so apparently they started shooting it at some point. Who knows?
Wow. They will make movies to make money, and it's that simple.
Dude, it's Bill and Ted!
I know, but they do that with everything. Star Wars. Oh, we got to do a Han Solo spin-off, and I love Star Wars. We got to get Charlie's Angels, the movie, the second movie, and then bring back the TV show with Minka Kelly, which was horrible.
They brought back the TV show? Where was I at?
Not wasting your time.
Oh, no, I remember that. It was horrible. Never mind. I remember.
Exactly.
I just put that out of my mind. It was so bad.
They will make money off of anything. But we have, let's see, Amber Heard.
I've been saving this story for 3 weeks now, or 2 weeks. Okay, because here's the thing. When this whole thing with Amber Heard happened and Johnny Depp, the way you said you would feel about Jeff Goldblum, that was me that day. Now, granted, I understand the Lone Ranger and all this stuff. I get that completely. I was right there arguing it as well. But there was always a spot in my heart for Johnny Depp. And anybody from my childhood could tell you that I used to watch Cry Baby on repeat. Not the best one either. Out of all the decent ones, that was the one I did. But when the abuse charges and the pictures and the conversations, it was hard. It was. Now then, that also brings up another question, ultimately within our culture, as to why we put so much of our feelings into these actors and actresses. Why do we? And I get it. I can understand it from multiple levels. From a sociological level, it's how we get away from our own stressful lives. That's why we watch movies. That's why we watch TV. And that's understandable. I mean, there's a reason why those who, the lower you are in class, the more TV you're going to watch. One, because you're more than likely more stressed out. And two, because you don't have the money to go out. And that's the two biggest reasons. But it helps, to watch something and immerse yourself in something, to not have to. But why do we get hooked on these individuals when, they're playing these characters, yet we still hold them to these kind of statuses that they should be somehow more than human? And all of these things that we're seeing with sexual assault, these are things that we see in everyday life all the time with people who are not held accountable. It's a fantastic national conversation that we are having. I don't like using the word fantastic in that, but it needed to be done. And I'm with you as to what's going to happen when it stops. I do fear that. I hope it doesn't stop. But I think to myself, even as somebody who understands how this type of culture works, why did I feel like a part of me had been thrown, pulled out of me when I found out that Johnny Depp beat the hell out of Amber Heard?
And that right there, the way you phrase that, Johnny Depp beat the hell out of Amber Heard. First of all, it sounds like a boxing match, and he knocked her out in the 4th round. Second of all, it sounds like it was a movie or something.
Right.
Like that happened in some film.
But she filmed it. I think that's really, that was on video and watching that. And I remember watching that, and it was just like, not Johnny Depp. But then I thought to and just as I'm saying now, it's the same kind of conversation here. Why would I expect him to be any different than maybe the idiot I dated that broke my nose? What would make me think that person is different? Now, that is not saying that everybody's the same either. It's just saying, why do we put these kind of higher expectations on these? And why? Because they have a lot of money? Because they've become famous? We know money doesn't do it. Well, it's just the way we feel towards them. But I struggle with this myself, is my point. This isn't really, it's kind of like a hypothetical. I struggle with, why did I feel so horrible? Of course I felt horrible for Amber Heard. It was more, though, this... What was he, a prince that wasn't supposed to... No, prince. That'd be a glorious Disney word there. That wasn't supposed to do that. Of course he wasn't supposed to do this. Nobody is supposed to do this. But it has been. It's one of those, it's a really hard thing to really come in contact because it's how we've been socialized. We've been raised this way to put everything into this type of culture. Look at the way fans act with, like, Taylor Swift or any boy band. My God, I have Christmas tonight with my kids, and the amount of K-pop bullshit I had to order, like, I can't make fun of them. I was the same way at that age.
Yeah, we all I liked Pogs there for 5 minutes. I don't know if anybody remembers Pogs. I don't remember how to play. I just remember I wound up with all the Pogs in the school. I was like, I'm the king of the Pogs. And then a week later, it's like, yeah, nobody cares about that anymore. That's how kids are. Ain't no thing. Now, the adults, that's different. These adults, these T.J. Millers, these Johnny Depps, and I will add to the J.K. Rowling Fantastic Beasts Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing.
Well, let's talk about that because we didn't really just started talking about Johnny Depp, but we didn't really discuss what happened with J.K. Rowling and Amber Heard. So overall, people were asking, the public was asking why Johnny Depp was being cast in the new Fantastic Beast film that he had already had, I guess, in the first one. I didn't watch it. I don't know. And J.K. Rowling stated, where is it at here? Well, he never assaulted anyone in front of me. And that's why they just went ahead and signed the contract. In which Amber Heard posted an image on, I guess, her Twitter, and it said, our relationship was intensely passionate and at times volatile, but always bound by love. Neither party has made false accusations for financial gain. There was never an intent of physical or emotional harm. Amber wishes the best for Johnny in the future. Amber will be donating financial proceeds from the divorce to charity. But then Amber Heard actually, in that was a picture, but what she said, for the record, this was our full joint statement. To pick and choose certain lines and quote them out of context is not right. And she's talking to J.K. Rowling in that tweet. So now you can go on with J.K. Rowling. I just wanted everybody to be caught up on what we were talking about there.
Well, there's been native appropriation since the jump, since the white folks came over here. And Rowling did a lot of that with her recent work. And it's funny how something bad happens. I mean, I talk about this all the time. Something bad happens to somebody white, and everybody loses their minds. If something bad happens to anyone, let's talk about it and try to fix it. But we're not going to talk about the native appropriation and the erasure from Rowling. All the blocks. Every time a native person, a native activist, a native intellectual tries to talk to her, she blocks them. She's blocked me. I'm black. I'm not indigenous, but I support their cause as much as possible. So, still, no one's really talking about that right now. We can't multitask. White America especially can't multitask. So, it's just sad. It's sad to me that it's the White Lives Matter aspect. White Lives Matter, ours don't. It's annoying. It's Lupita Nyong'o, Oscar winner, victim of Weinstein. Nobody's talking about her. She's in the back of the line of the Me Too movement. And there's another aspect to this whole Johnny Depp Heard Rowling thing. A lot of people upset that Depp is being cast, as Cal said, which they should be. He should not be allowed to act in movies. He should have been arrested for what he did to Amber. But then if he's not allowed to act in movies, then you got to get rid of a whole bunch of other people. Why is Mel Gibson still being allowed to act? Why is Woody Allen still allowed to do movies? You got to clean a lot of the house. And I'm in full agreement because I have a conscience. I'm in full agreement because I have a conscience. Johnny Depp should be nowhere near a movie set, but neither should Mel Gibson or Mark Wahlberg or Woody Allen.
I agree.
Lot to clean up, and I agree with you. I think the culture has to change, but then how does? So I'm on the oppressor side here of being a man. So I'm asking you, what do you think needs to be done to change the culture into a safe environment?
Oh dear. I mean, it starts with realizing how often this occurs, how much it happens. Stop blaming victims. I think first and foremost, rape culture has to be dealt with. Come on, we teach our girls at young ages, we start teaching them to never leave their drink. But we never teach little boys not to put drugs in those drinks. I mean, it goes that far. It's just such a large cultural issue that there's not going to be just one way to change it. It's going to have to go with everything. I saw the perfect tweet yesterday, and if my computer comes back up, I will read it out. But it was, I think it was from the New York Times is how it started, and it said our most read story this year, and it was about sexual assault allegations and how everything is a witch hunt instead of actually talking about the problem of the sexual assault. And the person who quoted it said, you're throwing your daughters under the bus for your sons. And it made perfect sense because way too often do we say it's the woman's fault or the victim's fault. It doesn't just have to be a woman. It's the victim's fault. We have to learn to realize that the majority of allegations, and every scientific study has shown about 2% of allegations end up being false, but it doesn't mean that some aren't false. We absolutely know they are. We need to learn how to deal with this and deal with it in a way where there is both justice for the accuser and for, that there is a actual way of getting some kind of justice within the criminal justice system if it is a crime. And a lot of times the stuff isn't a crime. Sexual harassment isn't a crime. It's something that's just expected. It's whether it should be or not, I don't necessarily know, but should it be allowed in the workplace is the question. And many places will say no. You'll see Google out on the forefront and things like that who will talk about trying to fix the wage gap, yet they're right there in the middle still being sued for the wage, for paying different wages for men and women. So you have this kind of all talk, but they don't actually go through with anything they're talking about. And so they do it so they get, good publicity from it when they're not actually following through with what they're claiming. It's kind of like, Comcast saying they were against the repeal of net neutrality. Right? It's just to get that kind of in front of it, try to get that public awareness that they're fucking lying. So, I mean, the first thing and foremost is to listen to people when they talk, both women and men. If they've, been assaulted, or if they, you have women and men who have been assaulted who may not even have realized they had been assaulted. And may just, I don't think a lot of people understand how sexual assault, how damning it is and how horrifying it is in one's mind. I mean, the victim will most of the time blame themselves for a very long time until they come to terms with it and realize this was not my fault. And until that happens, they're less likely to speak out. And so you hear a lot of people say, well, if this was true, why didn't they speak out then? Well, there's a lot of reasons why. Instead of wondering why they didn't speak out then, let's talk about why we're speaking out now and listen to them and then try to solve the issue instead of just throwing shit at one another.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, we've seen this kind of public backlash, but I'm with you. How long is it going to last? Mel Gibson just made a movie in the last year, didn't he?
Yeah, they've been promoting it in the last couple months. Daddy's Home 2 with another racist, Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, there's a whole nother situation now. Why has Mark Wahlberg never been held accountable for shit? And
do you know that this shows you how ingrained racism is in our entire society. Opening game of the NFL season, the most profitable and popular league in the world, sports league in the world. But right before the game starts, they have Mark Wahlberg, big Patriots fan, announce this little shrine they're putting on the field temporarily, showing the 5 Super Bowl trophies with former players, and he's talking about how great the team is and the franchise is. And I'm sitting there going, really? Are you serious? Him? You can find any other famous Boston sports fan than Mark Wahlberg?
And the majority of people don't even know about Mark Wahlberg's past.
That's true.
I'm having a hard time remembering the exact situation.
He beat up a
Vietnamese.
Called him a lot of different racial epithets, and but he's Marky Mark, and he's the pretty boy who's a bad boy, whatever the hell you want to call him. The Wahlberg brothers, all that. In terms, also talking about movies, a listener at Exula at XUGLA.
Oh, Canton. Hi, Canton.
Hi, Canton. Hello, Canton.
He's our friend. Yes.
He says the best Jeff Goldblum movie is Mr. Frost. This is a movie. Frost is arrested and committed for murder after he is apprehended burying his victims in the garden. That's freaky. But back in like the 80s and 90s, Jeff could play that type of role really well. That type of off-kilter, off-center type of individual. And that's
true, yeah.
The range he has. Even today, it's more comical than before. When he would play like the Fly, Mr. Frost, etc. Now to television, and this one really hurts me. It hurts me really bad because The Simpsons have been my favorite show for a long, long time. I'm talking 15 years, somewhere in that area. And over the last couple years, it started to hit me more and more that there's some problems with The Simpsons. And there's a lot of anti-nativeness on The Simpsons. And there was an episode within the last few years, and I've talked about this on the show before, but Teddy Roosevelt, who was one of the worst people to grace this planet. Teddy Roosevelt they did a whole show on him, and the superintendent was like, "All right, look, I'm gonna fix your wagon, Bart. Stupid Skinner can't do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm finally gonna fix your wagon and make you into a productive member of society. And he does that by telling him how great Teddy Roosevelt is and how you should be like him. So the rest of the episode, he's trying to be Teddy Roosevelt as much as humanly possible. So that's one big problem that's been stuck in my craw for a while. And I saw Al Jean on Twitter. I didn't know he had a Twitter, and Al Jean is one of the biggest writers, one of the top writers. And so I'll read the exchange. So I asked him a question. I say, I've never seen your Twitter before, so I never got a chance to ask you this. Why did you do an episode that was centered around making Teddy Roosevelt look like a hero? He replies, Tim Long and I both loved Edmund Morris's biography of Teddy Roosevelt. We thought he'd be a hero to Bart. That's his real voice in the episode. So then I replied, so you honestly had no idea who Roosevelt really was and his genocidal treatment of Native people? And I put a couple links in that tweet just in case he hadn't. But then Al Jean says, yes, he was a warmonger and also killed an enormous amount of defenseless animals. All true. I don't know why he thinks the animals are more important than the native people that he killed, but I digress. And I think the last thing I said to him was, the wide majority of your viewers have no idea about said information, especially kids, but you reinforce the false notion that he was some kind of hero. I know you've done it in the past with the Founding Fathers in previous episodes, but you gave Teddy a whole episode. And they've done this in the past. They've hero worshipped the Founding Fathers. Even, I always get them mixed up. James Madison or James Monroe, one of the two, showed up in Lisa's dream to give her advice on how to stop Homer from being a horrible Fox News type of pundit. It's the job he got on that episode. And, of course, they were both slave owners. So, but why are you making... Why should anyone get advice from a slave owner on right and wrong and how to act? But this is the Simpsons. So, but after that exchange with Gene, I have not watched an episode since. I would watch reruns of the Simpsons all the time. My favorite episodes of television ever, if anybody knows the Simpsons that well, is the Frank Grimes episode where Homer tries to befriend a new member of the office at the nuclear plant, and he drives Frank crazy. It's a great episode, and they've had many great episodes, but I can't deal with the racism anymore, and it sucks. And this goes to, I think, the whole point. One of the points of the show. White supremacy is so ingrained in Hollywood, tied at the hip, that even our favorite of favorites, whether you're talking about actors, musical artists, plays, whatever, you got to be careful because sometimes, more often than not actually, a high percentage, high majority, that thing you like or that person you like is highly problematic. Either racist, sexist, transphobic, fatphobic, or all of the above. And I know, Gal, you still watch Family Guy.
Family Guy. What happened, Family Guy? What happened this season? I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I can say that. Now, Family Guy has always had the overt stereotypes. There's no doubt there. I mean, that was the main purpose of it. And I have to go with both Family Guy and The Simpsons, which I've used in class multiple times to show the main thing to realize with both of them is that they're made to make fun of the quote-unquote nuclear family. That's why you have babies that never age. Because the nuclear family was a father who worked, a mother who stayed home, and 2.5 children. By definition, that was the actual definition. And so, of course, that's where that 0.5 comes in, is where you get, is it Maggie? I don't know crap much about
Maggie
Simpsons.
is
The baby. And that's when you get, Stewie and Family Guy. But Family Guy was always overt with their stereotypes in the sense of trying to show the ridiculousness of them. And it doesn't always work, and we all know that. Very similar to South Park, especially early South Park, not necessarily where they're at now. But that's the point, because it's satire, and so it's supposed to be like a mirror. And the thing that I always argued, at least with Family Guy, is that there's a mirror for just about everyone. Not that and I would never say that it was right. I just said I enjoyed it. There's a big difference there, and we've discussed that plenty of times. It's not whether or not I think something is, or you think something is right or wrong, whether we enjoy watching it or not. But this season has just, the first episode out of the box was called something like, "We're Gonna Win an Emmy." And so what they did is they made Peter, it starts off with Peter saying how much he wants to win an Emmy, and the only way he can do that is if he's transgendered. And so they make him, it's a whole episode with some of the most transphobic shit I have ever seen. Much more broad than, and I have seen every episode of Family Guy, probably like you and The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. And there have been, episodes in the past that have been called transphobic, particularly the episode where Brian has sex with Glenn Quagmire's dad, who just had a sex change. There was a lot of fallback on that one episode. But this one was, there was just something so much more mean about it. And I don't think I even finished it. And then I didn't touch it again for a little while. And I started watching it again to catch up on the episodes to see, okay, well, maybe it was just one. But it wasn't. Because a couple episodes later, it's Brian sends out a racist as hell tweet. And then he gets called out for it. And of course, the show makes it out as those that call out racism on Twitter are just, big babies. Kind of what we talked about with South Park when we had this discussion. Like, they're turning it around to where the bad guys are those that are focused on trying to see change in the world. And, of course, that goes with the mainstream idea that political correctness, which is just not treating people like assholes, is such a bad idea, and that we shouldn't be doing it. And we're censoring people if we don't allow them to say the N-word. That's that ideology that's used. And they had it was like a 3-episode arc of Brian's life after being attacked on Twitter for sending out a racist as fuck tweet. And it rubbed me the wrong way. That's pretty bad because I've watched it a long time and I'm not to say it's never rubbed me the wrong way. Believe me, it has. Where even I go, oh, that's too much. But, yeah, I'm seeing the same thing from my show that you're coming across with The Simpsons. I understand.
Yeah, I think it depends on the show. It depends on the person, and also the makeup of the person in terms of race and gender, social status even. But I think there's the line of how much BS can you take? Because, like I said, most TV shows, most movies are racist, sexist, transphobic, or all of the above. So.
And that's what sells, right? Like, I remember we didn't get a chance to have the show when I told you to watch Fresh Off the Boat, and you had said you had heard some stuff. I only made it to the third episode before the first episode was like, hey, this looks pretty good. By the third episode, it was every fucking stereotype in the book, and it's written by a complete Asian cast. And it's like, do they do this just because it sells? Like, is that why they're using these negative stereotypes? It just makes me, wonder. We talk about how we do need more diversity in the writer room. We absolutely do. But even when we get some of the diversity, are they going to continue to write for that white view? And we've seen plenty of cases where people are shut down. I can't think of one. I know that there's been a few. I will give, like, Get Out being one of the ones that wasn't shut down, right? That was grabbed a hold of and just made amazing progress. The movie. Well, and I think the reason Get Out did so well is that the people it was about didn't realize it was about them.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I'm sure that's what it was. There was a bunch of screenshots that the actress who played the main, I don't remember what the black girl's name was, but let's just call her Becky. Her name should have made it that much better. I mean, this film probably.
You're right. It should have been Becky. That would have been fantastic.
Yes, exactly. Or at least Rebecca. At least they kind of like hide it, a coded message. But she was showing all these messages and tweets of how fans are like, well, don't you think that we should sympathize with your character a little bit? Like, like give her some leeway, and like they're just coming up with every excuse in the book, and she's just like her head's spinning. Like, they saw the movie and they still have this view.
They still don't Rose. Her name was Rose.
That's Becky for me. I watch that movie with my kids and be like, "Hey, it's Rose." No, it's not. It's Becky. Call her Rose again. You're getting a timeout.
I give Jordan Peele a lot of fucking credit on that film. He did so well with it.
He's about as talented a dude or person in Hollywood. Tanana Reeve Dew, who was a guest on a previous episode of Who's Culture, one of the classes he teaches actually had Jordan Peele come in.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Talk to the kids, yeah. And then there's you can find the thread you search for on Twitter on her. I don't know if it's a pin tweet or if you're gonna have to just type her Twitter name with Jordan Peele attached, but you can find it. But yeah, he's great. I mean, Mad TV, that was one of my favorite shows growing up, and him being a big
Sorry.
The dog agrees with me, Jordan.
Sorry.
Amazing actor and writer.
Yeah.
And that movie, it won't, but it should win Best Picture.
You know what? I'm not going to say it won't. I'll say it probably won't. But the amount of good publicity, I don't know. I have a feeling this year that they are still trying to show that Oscar's not so white. But you're right. There's a good chance it won't. I'm not going to count it out yet.
I'm writing this right now on
Twitter. It's first of all, if it wasn't a horror movie, I might even say put more into it. It's very rare for a horror movie to get Best Picture. I think it's happened once in history.
I'm writing a poll on Twitter right now.
And that's coming from a horror movie junkie. It's very rare for horror movies to ever even get included. And the nominations that have been coming out lately are astounding for Get Out.
Okay, I'm writing. It's a quote. I'll tag you in it. Gal and People's Radio United will Get Out win Best Picture at the Oscars. There you go.
It's still going to be. I don't think it is either. I'm going to go with you on that. But I just maybe I here's the thing. I shouldn't still have any hope left in me for anything ever. Yet that just wouldn't be me. There's got to be a little there, or what's the use to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, I feel you with that. I mean,
because I'm trying to think of what film do I think, and believe me, I'm not gonna lie. The Oscars for me is like the Super Bowl, except for the last 3 years. Actually, for the last 4 or 5 years, it's been more along the lines of Oscar. Before even Oscars So White was a thing, it was something that I made my students. It always happens during my race and ethnicity class semester, and we always go through the list, and we look at the lack of diversity. So when it did get some traction, it was nice to see it being discussed more. But I can't even... What other film even came close to that kind of publicity this year, that kind of good ratings?
So honestly, I used to watch the Oscars every year. And as I got older, I tried to watch every Best Picture nomination. Well, as you just described, I couldn't deal with the lack of color. I couldn't deal with the racism in movies anymore, and the racism from the Academy not letting us in the door. And when you do, it's very few of us. So we have Dunkirk, which I hear was
fuck, never mind.
Yeah, that'll win. And that
it's just like a basic fucking formula that wins the Oscars.
Yeah.
Like the fact that Moonlight won, which by the way was the best win in history because of the way it happened.
Yeah.
To this day is my favorite moment in Oscar history. Because what the hell was the singing movie? It was so ridiculous.
Mamma Mia?
No. It was Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. La La Land. La La Land.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, La La Land was a cute and funny movie, but it is the whole white savior thing of, this man's going to save jazz. And that pissed me off. And the fact that Hidden Figures didn't win.
Of course not.
But
they give more to this day, even with the movie coming out, and finally the stories of those sisters being told. People give more credit to the Nazis for helping America go to the moon than black women.
Absolutely right. I, as somebody who is an educator on this, did not know about those women. And then I started researching other women and other African-American males and Native males that I had never heard of before. That, because just like everybody else, I only have what's in front of me, right? I can only know what I can look for. And I was just that Hidden Figures should have. It's not to take anything away from Moonlight, by the way. Moonlight is a very good film. I just think Hidden Figures should have won.
I have the solution. Okay, this is what we're gonna do for the next. I say decade. Okay, I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna be fair, but also not too mean. For the next decade, no film that has more than 49% white people starring in it can be nominated for anything, and only films of color can be nominated. And then after those 10 years, we'll see where we are.
That would work. I think that would be a good idea. We would show, a point and figure, let's see, in the next decade would be 2020.
2027 at this
I don't know why that was so hard for me. I really got stuck at 2020.
He's the professor.
I didn't want to go past, now, but I'm thinking, is there still going to be an America in 10 years? But that's a whole other story.
That is a whole other story. That's a whole other show, the People's Weekly on People's Radio. People's Radio United every Friday, 12 noon Pacific time.
That's what we say. Oh, sweet! You think we're still going to be here in 10 years? But I could see that would be one way to do it. That's for sure. Let's just see if he gets nominated for. And see, I mean, the amount of records that were broken and the amount of different things that were broken with Get Out is what gets me. It was what makes me think it has a small. Again, I'm saying only a small chance. I'm not like I wouldn't put all my money on it because I know the Oscars. Especially when you said Dunkirk, because I fucking forgot all about it. Let's not even talk about the racial issues within Dunkirk. Yeah. They just completely ignored the historical reality. Not
accurate. I mean, and we talked about that last week. Most movies that are about history or current social problems, they don't tell the truth. Lincoln is the perfect example. That you walk down the street, and if that person saw Lincoln and you asked them, what do you think of Lincoln? You think it was good? Oh, it was so good. It was the best movie.
They only think it's good because of Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, and he was an amazing.
Find me one person who has seen a Daniel Day-Lewis who doesn't think it's the best movie ever. By the way, I don't think Daniel Day-Lewis is as wonderful as everybody, but he is a good actor. I get that.
Oh, wow.
But it seems, he's a fantastic actor. I just don't think he is God's given gift to acting. Oh, God, I'm going to be shot dead now, aren't I?
Well,
he's a fantastic actor in no way, shape, or form.
I called him Michael Jordan of acting, at least.
My issue is, it doesn't matter how shitty the movie is. Everybody still thinks it's amazing if he's in it.
That's true.
That's what I mean. Like, the plot doesn't matter if he's in it. And I agree. There isn't. I can't really think of anybody who would be better. So maybe I should take that back. But it's like nobody pays attention to the plot.
Kevin James. They obviously think enough of him to give him more movies.
Why? Yeah, and another TV show, which is just King of Queens, except he's not married to Leah.
And look,
but they kill off his wife so that he can start dating her.
Did they kill her off? Oh, wow.
I just learned this on listening to a podcast because I've not seen it. My dad watched it.
Oh, that's just cold, man.
But when she said she was available, they killed off his wife.
Jeez.
So, in other words, that's all it is.
We've had Aaron Smith-Levin, who was in Scientology for 30 years, is now out of Scientology and fighting back against it. God bless him. And he has gone on Leah Remini's show, Scientology, The Aftermath, which I implore anybody listening, after this show's over, go watch that episode that Aaron was on. And I have a lot of nice things to say about Leah. I have no problem with her. I met her. But, and I liked her on the King of Queens. I actually like the King of Queens. But it's just cold.
I don't really think that was on her. I take that on the freaking writers or Kevin, maybe Kevin. It was more along the lines they just wanted King of Queens Part 2.
True, but
speaking of,
it seems like she knew. Maybe she didn't. If she didn't, I mean, then I'll stop talking. But go ahead.
Well, I gave you this article earlier, and it's from February of this year when Leah had pretty much just started out with her expose of Scientology before she had her own show. And I don't know, I didn't realize it was from February of this year, but it was interesting in the sense of how she talks about the amount of power that these actors who are Scientologists have, which we've discussed on the show before, and we know. I think we really talked about it with Danny Masterson and the police not even wanting to investigate because of how much money Scientology gives the LAPD. And it's this other article I found talks about how high up of rank John Travolta and Tom Cruise are, which is it Cockhan? I don't know. Cockaned. Khakhan. And which basically is that you can kill another human being and get away with it. And that's how high up both Travolta and Cruise are. And I'm going to post this right now. I just found that interesting that their this quote-unquote religion allows that if you reach a certain designation, which also comes with how much money you give, we know that, so you're legally okay to just kill people.
That's freaky.
I'm posting right now.
That is absolutely
Isn't
freaky.
It?
And the Travolta thing, I remember when Going Clear, the documentary, came out, and it really piqued my interest on Scientology, because, like, wow, that, like you said, these folks can get away with all this stuff, and especially if you're one of the top celebrities in the church, like, dang, that's wow. So I wonder, like, what's in John Travolta's auditing sessions, like, because everybody has a file. I want to know what's in his file. He can be gay, straight, or queer, whatever, but just it seems like they're hiding a whole hell of a lot with him.
Yeah, I agree. It's just interesting to see. Now, I know we have a guest on. I wanted to bring up one other thing before we jump to another subject, which
all right, we got a minute. Go ahead.
I think it's still going to be on the same topic, actually, and we have already talked about this on multiple shows, that with these sexual assault cases and these allegations and how many people are being held accountable, we keep forgetting that the Black women and Native women involved, who have been yelling about this for years, are still being ignored. And just last week, an article was written about Russell Simmons. 3 women have gone on record and accused Russell Simmons of rape. But I haven't seen this written anywhere else but this one article, this one news source, which is okplayer.com. He did write a letter denying those sexual allegations. It's just, my point is why is this not being discussed as loud as everything else? Why is, again, as we've talked about, R. Kelly, or there's with Nelly, has a recent case, wouldn't be the first one either. These are often just ignored. And of course it's because I do believe, and I can't guarantee this, is it because the victims are not white? Is it because the alleged...
Stop you there. That's what it is.
I know, but I can't. I'm not gonna. I have the names of them right here. I don't know if they are or not. And I agree that is 99% what it is. Because my next question, is it because that person that is being alleged is not white? Well, we know that doesn't go well with what we know of America. So, oh wait, the New York Times published it. Holy shit!
Oh,
here we go.
Wonderful New York Times. I think our guest is on the line.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you on Who's Culture. Gal, my co-host, is just talking about how women of color, Black women and Native women especially, are virtually left out of the Me Too discussion. What are your thoughts on that? Dallin, you still there? Do we have a dropped call?
I don't know. It says there she is. Are you there? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
There she is.
There we go.
Yeah, my connection was like lagging.
No problem. Well, we were just discussing the Me Too movement, and we definitely want to hear your thoughts on how women of color, especially Black and Indigenous women, are being left out of that conversation.
Well, yeah, it's quite, it's funny and also sad to see that a number, like, it wasn't even like a conversation to start for like a lot of Black and Indigenous women because of all the conversations we've been having amongst ourselves and our own circles because of, the sexual violence statistics, which kind of speak to like us being the demographic that kind of really gets sexually assaulted quite often, and that's kind of evidenced even further with the missing and murders Indigenous women cases that are still a problem.
And most recently, we've had Tavis Smiley, who is a very respected black journalist, very uncompromising black journalist. Russell Simmons, a pillar of black celebrityism, and R. Kelly somehow, as Gal just brought up, being left out of the conversation, even though he kidnaps girls and he has a sex dungeon. How does it resonate with you that, yeah, there's black men involved as well, but at the same time, as well as with these white men, they're not going to be going to jail or prison?
Well, yeah, and there's also the other dimension of who their victims were, too. Like, because there's always, like, that popular kind of anecdote, or, I guess, saying that, like, if R. Kelly's victims had been, like, white little girls, then there would have been, like, all this outrage and how he just wouldn't have a career anymore. But because his victims were black girls, and, still are black women, or girls he's currently groomed, most people simply just don't care. And in the context of Bill Cosby, despite all of his accusers who have, like, come forward, he still has a lot of, like, endorsements, and a lot of people support him in the community. And then even Nate Parker, who directed the whole Birth of a Nation, he was duly kind of dragged and dealt with and, like, accordingly boycott, because his victim not only tragically died, but was also, like, a white woman. So there was, like, a lot of dynamics at play there, and so I just kind of suspect that the actual victim affects how, like, society and everybody else will react, because black and indigenous women and men are, like, usually exotified or disbelieved.
Yeah, that is the sad truth. And this has become a ongoing discussion on this show of celebrities and television and movies and Hollywood in general, things that we enjoy so much, our own personal favorites. But that being said, we all have our favorites. It gets very difficult to continue to be fans of these people and these shows and these movies and whatnot. And I saw a tweet you were making the other night about my favorite comedian, Paul Mooney. I've listened to all of his albums. I've watched all the specials, and I had no idea that he supports Cosby and goes a BS narrative that, it's a conspiracy because he tried to buy NBC. And is it worth it to be fans of celebrities at all?
I mean, I personally, like, I love Paul Mooney's, like, comedy as well, and I think he contributed a lot in terms of, like, comedy and all that stuff. But, like, it's like a tricky thing to kind of divorce the celebrity or, like, the artist from their art, because, like, you have to, like, wonder, like, how much of their product is actually, like, a reflection, or, like, however subtle or explicit, how much that reflects their own, like personal beliefs and, like, what they're standing for. Because, like, I was pretty much in the same boat as you. Like, I found out that Mooney was, like, defending Cosby a while ago, and I was just, like, surprised, like, but after a while I started thinking about it, like, in terms of not being too surprised, because I remember he did one of his comedy specials at, like, it was, like, tape recorded, and I think it's on Netflix, I forget what it's called, but the venue was essentially kind of like a Hooters type thing, and don't know if the women were topless at some point, but and then in other skits when he was actually speaking to women, and then there was that other one that was quite famous for one of his other comedy specials where he was speaking to like a white woman, and he was like, yes, just give me your number. Like, these moments just kind of came back to me as I kind of sat through for like the next few days, just kind of reflecting on it, because it seems like whenever a celebrity kind of does something that's trash or endorses trash, then you just kind of run through all this other stuff that was kind of subtly trash, but you never really kind of realized it, and then it just kind of made sense after that behavior, and then you just kind of wonder, like, why they would do certain things, because, like, Mooney he's pretty old school, though, so I don't know if that's, like, one of the reasons why he's kind of driven by kind of those respectability politics and defending Cosby. And then his recent thing where he was talking about how black women weren't essentially the heroes of the Alabama vote, and how, like, black men matter too and all this stuff. And he was actually getting into arguments and stuff with other black women and speaking over black women and kind of liking tweets of his fans that just kind of had so much misogynoir. So, yeah, I don't know if it's like a generational thing, but in terms of celebrities, it's just kind of weird to me. Like, I've just tried to divorce myself from most of them, because, like, celebrities kind of also represent classism to me, and nepotism, and oligarchy, in terms of, like, they're living in, like, this kind of paradise, regardless of, like, their labor and all that, but they have, like, this immense privilege that, like, fans can't really relate to, or certain fans can't relate to. So it's always hard for me to just kind of take everything, or, like, a lot of what they say seriously, even if it is meant to be, like, a statement.
Yeah, it's like a disconnect between fans and the celebrities that we love so dearly. Is there a line that you have for shows, movies, celebrities that, okay, if they cross this line, I'm done with them? Do you have a line?
Yeah, like, I have lots of lines just in terms of, like, the standard stuff, but, like, it's also just, it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack in terms of finding celebrities or art or whatever that doesn't cross those lines. And it's like another podcast I follow called The Wine Cellar, hosted by Phoenix Kalina and William J. Jackson. They say this best. They say that, like, you kind of can't like put too much faith in celebrities, and they always say, like, don't impose your ideologies on celebrities, because they're not there to actually make statements. Like, even if, like, very few of them are actually there to make statements. They're there to just kind of be applauded and get a paycheck, and, you know, maybe have some beefs and all that stuff along the way. So it's also kind of a bit unfair to kind of expect too much from celebrities. I know Cardi B has, like, come up a lot in recent conversation because of how she's kind of blown up, and a lot of people are kind of skeptical of her politics because she says she just wants to stay away from politics altogether, and she's made colorist statements, and people are talking about her racial ambiguity and what defines blackness and all this other stuff. But and then recently today on Twitter, I saw one of the top headlines was like, Cardi B gives a treat to her fans by appearing in 2 videos or dropping 2 videos. And I had to actually stop and think and be like, how is that, like, a treat for fans? Like, that's not a treat for me or anyone. Like, that's a treat for Cardi B, because she can monetize more of the social capital. And I'm not sure if you saw the video that kind of went viral of like people in the subway station playing her song Bodak Yellow and just kind of singing along, like, and everybody was essentially singing along and dancing. And I don't know the extent. I'm sure a lot of these people were just strangers, but they were all just dancing. And the underlying message of the video was that Cardi B's music brought all these people together despite our really crappy climate in terms of politics. But another part of me just wonders, like, why is it that people are more inclined to kind of get together, and how is it that these people can take the incentive to know these, like, trends and popular songs, but aren't able to access or understand other things like historical contexts or laws or, you know, legislation and all that information. Like, I wonder if, like, people are just more inclined to kind of vibe with celebrities because the content is just more accessible and it's more upbeat, and it's also an outlet for people to kind of plug into because not a lot of people really want to face how crappy everything kind of is. But there's also the other question as to how much is kind of too much in terms of, like, letting yourself enjoy something, because if you kind of keep plugging up and avoiding things, then to what effect can you actually affect change?
That is a good question, because I think about that sometimes myself with how, I mean, we're all supposed to, whatever we do in our lives, we're all supposed to have self-care and plug out from the world, especially if we're talking about people of color, especially Black and Indigenous folks. But then, especially if you're Black or Indigenous or of color, you have the problem of, oh, wait a minute, this show or this person are saying these harmful things that affect my community, but the rest of the show is pretty funny or pretty entertaining. So there's that line of where I struggle with where is the line. That's one reason why I asked you that question. And I didn't see the Bodak Yellow subway video, but I did see the apparently Nas, who has been my favorite musical artist since I was 14. He said years ago, and this happened a while ago, I just didn't know, that when the Gwyneth Paltrow Jay-Z thing happened, the Niggas in Paris thing, Nas said, no, lay off her. No, she can say it. Gwyneth's my nigga. And I'm like, no, Nas, don't. No. Oh, anybody else, man. You know, so it's difficult. Like, you basically have to either just separate the two and be fans of their work, or just say, screw you, I can't deal with you anymore.
It's also, you can also kind of, I guess, find a double ground, or middle ground, because you don't have to act, like, you don't have to, like, swear off certain people or boycott certain people for, like, just depending on the extent of, like, what they're doing. But, like, my thing is just the problem I kind of have with celebrity culture is that celebrities are corporatists largely. Like, even celebrities that are supposed to be good role models, like, they have corporate interests. They're never, like, very few of them are ever doing, like, just one kind of thing, like, and that's why you always see these people who were going viral and all this stuff kind of enterprising, and talking about empires and investing in these other products. Like, no one is ever, like, just singing or, like, just dancing. Like, they have endorsements or shares in investments or funds or other kind of business fronts. And I think that kind of speaks to the elasticity and how fickle the audience and kind of fandom kind of is, because like, I don't think many celebrities take the whole craft and everything like as kind of essential or conducive to their identity, and they also realize that the times will change, and times already have changed, and it's always good to have like a side hustle or multiple hustles. But in the case of like Nas and other people doing that stuff, the consolation for like consumers and like fans is that like you don't, like, if you're a fan of someone, you don't have to stan them, so to speak. Like, you don't have to uncritically support them. You can critique your favorites, and you don't have to like invest a whole lot into them to the point where you like deprive yourself or like investing in other stuff that you may find more worthy to invest in. Like, you don't have to necessarily prioritize celebrities anymore because of all of the free access and the dissemination of information on the internet. Like, you don't have to go out and like buy a CD from your favorite artist anymore. You can just stream it on YouTube, or you can plug into the whole piracy current and get things like that. But so I don't think you have to like swear things off altogether, but you also have to just be kind of mindful of what you're taking in, because like when I studied sociology and when I started looking at social media marketing, for one, I noticed that a lot of people who market and a lot of people who are in positions of authority have a tendency not to take their audiences or followers seriously. And it's because they perceive these masses to be kind of passive recipients of the information, and they kind of assume the bar is low and that just the bare minimum or just putting anything out will profit, and based on, you know, their star power alone. And so that's why it's kind of dismal, because you kind of think like, well, what's the point of critiquing this? Like, you're just going to buy the next thing that they put out. But like, more as time kind of went on, more people kind of saw that audiences aren't just passive consumers. They actually like think about what they're consuming. But like, I mean, we do, obviously, but like some people may not. Like, there are some people who are younger, or, you know, just have less of a context in terms of understanding these histories and maybe how things are problematic, who may be more impressionable. But yeah, like, I don't think you have to completely swear things off. I just think that you kind of have to be aware of the problematic things that are happening. And if you are aware and you don't kind of just tune it out or completely numb yourself to it and, you know, just kind of uncritically support someone, well, that's cool. But I also think, too, when you were mentioning Nas, I was thinking about how it kind of just hurts or surprises you more when that kind of stuff happens from someone within your own community. Like, seeing other black people or other indigenous people kind of do that kind of stuff, it always just kind of annoys me more than it would if I were to see like a white person doing that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. It's because it comes at home. You know, it hits home. That's one of ours. You know, hurting us like that, or selling us out.
Yeah, and that's what happened with that whole hair thing. I forget I think it was Shea Moisture or something. And they made that like commercial, like, and Shea Moisture was essentially like it was supposed to be like a black hair brand where most of its consumers were black women and some were black men. But then they decided to release this kind of all lives or all hair types matter campaign where they featured white women prominently. And like, black women were, you know, justifiably upset. They're just like, you're supposed to be our brand. And not only does the brand not really apologize, the brand doubles down and actually retweets stuff from Tariq Nasheed, who's like a notorious hotep. But yeah, it's very surprising, and like I feel like betrayal and all that stuff is something we kind of have to be prepared to expect or think is inevitable because like these people like aren't legit our friends, and they may not have the best interests of the community at heart. Their loyalty and their interests are profit driven more than like conscious driven.
That's the truth. Most people, not most people, there are a lot of people who stand so hard for folks that it's like, it's almost like in their mind they think they're friends.
Yeah, and that was also like really interesting to me because I remember when I studied popular culture, that kind of came up a lot, and people were just surprised by it. They were talking about how like it was this kind of phenomenon which is why you would meet people from different religions who were so keen to kind of, I guess, spread the word, or they were like so committed to the doctrine because like they believed that like the spirit was like flowing through them personally. And then there would just be celebrities who emerged later in time, like notably when the Beatles came to town, and then there was the boy band phase that kind of became like kind of a cookie cutter thing for generations to come. Like there were like girls and stuff who would just fantasize about eventually marrying one of the Beatles, or like believing that they knew them personally because they consumed most of their like merchandise and subscribed to their fan club. And it's just odd to me because it's like they're not sharing all of themselves. Like they're only sharing a portion of like what they want the audience to see. And yeah, like that, I also thought about that quite a lot when I was in South Korea, where suicide is a prominent problem there. I think it has one of the highest suicide rates in the world. And it was just very curious to see how many celebrities had actually committed suicide there. Because these are like these people who are conventionally attractive, make a substantial amount of money, are like loved and adored by fans, and then they just end their lives quite unexpectedly. And recently that happened, I think maybe yesterday or on Monday, there was a popular South Korean singer of a boy band who apparently committed suicide, and it just threw the internet and all of the fans and everybody into a frenzy because it was just a very prominent band and it had made international headlines. And I'm not sure if they performed at some American award shows as well because they were that popular, but it's just very curious to see how people grieve and think that they know a person entirely when they only know like a portion of the person. And like it's honestly kind of creepy to me in terms of like how people can be so obsessive.
I concur. And the example you just brought up reminds me of Robin Williams.
Oh yeah.
We all thought, well, he's so happy, and he's always happy in his films and goofy. Wait a minute, he actually had depression and committed suicide. So let's not jump to conclusions on people we don't know personally, as you just said.
Yeah, and he was suffering from depression for years and stuff, and you think about, like, and it's also, like, kind of a statement as to how marketing kind of works. Like, it was going on for so long, but, like, fans or people weren't aware of it because he was just so like kind of meticulously managed, and that wasn't kind of permitted or like revealed to the public until after he had died. So it just kind of shows that like you don't really like know these celebrities. You only know like their personality in terms of like what they're marketing. So it always just never ceases to amaze me how people can just kind of idolize these strangers and like actually stand these strangers to the point of even alienating other people close to them for, like, just kind of not standing these celebrities as they do. So, and we saw this a lot quite often, I think maybe a couple of summers ago when Beyonce first came out with, like, I think it was her, I don't know what album it was, but it was the album where she was kind of talking more about feminism and blackness and black history and all that stuff, and there was a big kind of rift in various communities. Yeah, there was a rift in a lot of communities because there were people who, like, the majority of people were just standing it like crazy, but then there was, like, this portion of other people who, and some of them, and they were black women as well, and it made me kind of think, like, these people were critiquing aspects of the album and kind of not standing or, like, kind of finding resonance in, like, the feminism Beyonce was kind of selling. And then just to kind of think how black women are marginalized as much as they are already, for them to kind of be marginalized further for not kind of standing into this ideal of what everybody else was kind of saying feminism was. Like, it was just surreal to watch, because I saw a number of people, like, and there were people who actually, like, ended friendships over this. Like, it was legitimately just like, if you don't like Beyonce, and if you don't think she's feminist, then, like, we need to stop talking. And I mean, I never said that or anything, and I never really weighed in on the matter, but to just see it happen on social media and on my timeline and even in real life, I was just surprised. I'm like, neither of you, like, know Beyonce. Like, why are you, like, getting this mad?
She's my next door neighbor. You don't know. Well, it's time for our favorite segment on Who's Culture. Who are we kicking out of Hollywood this week? And per tradition, the guest gets the first choice. So, Fallon, who are you kicking out of Hollywood this week?
I mean, I'd kick Lena Dunham out of Hollywood any week. So, I guess it's my choice.
Bye, Lena. Bye-bye. Never show your face again. Gal, who you got?
I'm back. Wait, what? Oh, goodness, there's so much going on. Hello.
Hey.
Who am I kicking out?
Yeah.
Oh.
We got Lena. Fallon said Lena Dunham. I support that choice.
Oh, I completely support that choice. That is a fantastic choice.
We can kick her out 3 times then.
I am going to kick somebody else out who we've kicked out already. I haven't kicked this person out, but I am today. I do believe you already kicked him out, Nolan. Fuck you, Matt Damon.
Bye, Matt.
Dear Matt Damon, just because you can't understand what sexual abuse is doesn't mean that people are making too big of a deal about it. When your ex-girlfriend and a fellow actor, Minnie Driver, has to come out and tell you you just don't fucking get it, shut the hell up. Thank you. You're kicked out, Matt Damon.
Amen.
Fucker. Excuse my language.
No, he's a motherfucker. He's
Oh, I was so bad when I saw that. I'll post that too for everybody to see.
Well, I will kick out. This will hurt me, but I'm going to do it. Mr. Nasir Jones, you're kicked out of Hollywood for your disgusting anti-blackness and all of, I don't know if it's all of a sudden or what in the last few years, wanting more white fans and wanting white people to like you more. I don't know what happened. He did a song with Justin Bieber within the last year or two. So, yeah. Bye, Nas. Bye-bye.
Gucci Mane, did you guys see that Everyday video by that, like, guy on the Family Channel?
I haven't
There's like this white guy on the Family Channel, and he he went viral or something, and he made like this rap video called "It's Every Day," and I don't know what he's referring to, but he's just essentially like dancing around cars, and he got all of his white friends, and they're like attempting to rap, and like they just do it, and it went viral because it was just so ridiculous, and they got so many like people to just kind of rip on it. But now he released a part 2 remix, and Gucci Mane is a featured artist.
The song, the full title is called "It's Every Day, Bro."
Ugh.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
We can't have nothing. They won't let us have a thing, and sometimes we help them take it away.
I have some, maybe not breaking news, but I have to ask you something on air, Nolan.
Me?
Yes. Did you see today that Tanisha Coates quit Twitter? After a fight with Cornel West?
I had seen he said something.
I just saw this. That's why I'm asking. You and I have had a discussion. That's why I brought it up.
Was it today he actually deleted it?
It's.
I think he did it yesterday.
And I'm late.
No, he did it yesterday, and people. I guess he did it technically today. It was just like early in the morning today.
Okay.
That he just quit it and deleted Twitter.
Out. Peace, y'all. I'm out. I didn't get in it for this.
And before he tweeted that, he like advertised his book.
Oh, of course.
Oh, was that the 8 Years of Power? Was that the book?
Yeah.
Yes. We were 8 years in power.
That was I
don't understand like why. And this is another kind of example of celebrities again, where people were kind of Team West or Team Coates, and like I saw a number of different like black activists and stuff that I follow kind of just arguing on their kind of favorites' behalf, and then friendships and like connections kind of severed because they didn't agree and stuff, or they just perceived that like one person liking another person meant that they didn't like, that person. And I was just like surprised to kind of see it, because these people were just kind of talking, and even discussing the mere critique and the differences was kind of perceived as like an insult. So yeah, I didn't even really have a chance to kind of catch up on what was going on until like the end of it, when I saw people just kind of all in their mentions. But I was just like surprised by it. I didn't think he would ever quit Twitter.
I didn't either. And again, I didn't see this. I wasn't really paying attention. I'm not going to lie. I've been doing other things today. Completely missed that. It just popped up on my screen.
That, I'm not saying I condone it, but I understand that a little more, because it's one thing when you're talking about like celebrities and just regular celebrities, music and TV or whatever, but Coates is an intellectual. He's in the movement, whether we like it or not. So the issues that he talks about and works with matter a whole hell of a lot more than, say, yesterday's episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. So I get how some folks could have a fallout over that, because because of the issues that were being talked about by Coates and West.
The thing is that Coates was being critiqued for some of I think a lot of black women too were coming on Twitter. And I saw this, like, a lot of black women activists were just like, oh, these black men are beefing, like, we've been talking about this stuff, next. And I'm just like, wow, but it was just very interesting to see those perspectives, because apparently there were all these critiques about Coates going around from black women, and also, like, other black scholars. And I'm not sure if you saw that whole Black Panther thing he was a part of.
Yeah, he's like a part-time comic book artist or something. Is that right?
Yeah, he made the narrative of Black Panther essentially when he drew it that aliens came to Africa and aliens had this amazing technology, and then the Africans who the Black Panthers essentially kind of descended from essentially took the alien technology and slaughtered the aliens. So people were critiquing that and saying it was kind of showing black people engaging in colonialism and like the whole idea of assimilation and genocide, and how even a beloved hero like Black Panther is kind of reduced to this kind of genocidal, empirical kind of narrative, whereas he's associated, like, people kind of connected with him in the first place as being totally, like, kind of against that kind of thing. And when Coates kind of came out with that, I know that everyone was kind of buzzing about how, like, they just were not feeling right about it. I was just surprised to see it, too, because I never was thinking about it, but he's had some critiques from black women and other people in the community, so I wasn't really surprised to see him have critiques now. It's just I didn't understand, like, why the critique drove him off of Twitter.
I think it was from, I don't know if he was a hero of his, but I think it was who the source was. Cornell being a pillar in the black activist community, maybe just stung, it hit him below the belt. Maybe he was thinking, and my thing with that beef, I kind of looked at it like, wait, yeah, all right, Cornell, you're not wrong, but you got your own colonized unpacking to do. I mean, he supported Bernie during the election. I'm pretty hard supporter of Bernie during the election, and he will play the other side in terms of supporting the system and apologizing for it to a point, while still on the other side that we know him for, saying we need to get free, we need to move forward, racism, enough, and Coates, a guy who is against reparations for Native people. He's an Obama apologist. He's a liberal. So it's like, two problematic people fighting against each other. It reminds me of when we see all these white racists call out Trump. It's like, okay, well, he's a racist calling out a racist. I'm confused. But,
yeah, it's similar to the whole Rose McGowan arguing with that other white actress or something. It's like white feminism is arguing within itself, and like Coates and West were arguing, and it's like all the, like, not that they're equivalent at all, but it's just interesting to see how, like, problematic figures can argue amongst each other and, like, assume to be, like, of a moral high ground in comparison to their opponents when they're, like, kind of not.
Yeah, it's almost like it's an unneeded distraction.
Yeah, and
just at the root of the problems of having these,
especially in, like, the whole kind of wake of the whole net neutrality thing and the tax bill. And I always, like, wonder, like, how coincidental, quote unquote, is it when these, like, beefs and stuff kind of happen and go viral, like when Rachel Dolezal was kind of exposed and went viral around the same time as that officer who essentially sexually assaulted and jumped on that girl at the pool party went viral.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm always, like, wondering, like, what's happening and, like, why, like, could this have just kind of been, like, a way or kind of inadvertently orchestrated by, like, others to kind of distract people from other things happening. But it's not to say that we can't focus on multiple things. It's just people were just blowing up about these things in comparison to other stuff.
I think that's the way we can end this wonderful interview is we need to get better at multitasking. We can do more than one thing at once. Fallon, thank you so much for coming on. I'd love to have you back anytime.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me, and I hope Lena Dunham actually does leave Hollywood.
Yes, me too. I'm with you on that 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Awesome. You have a good day. Take care.
Okay, you too. Bye.
You can check her out on Twitter, Kitty Fallon. That's Kittie. Fallon, Fallen. Thank you so much, Fallon, for coming on. And check out her amazing writing on fallenkitty.com. Same spelling. So we have little time left in the show, and it's Christmas time, isn't it?
It is.
You brought this up to me before the show to add a segment, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
It's just something to think about. That's all. Like, think about it.
Don't bring it up around Megyn Kelly.
Oh no.
They'll say, no, Jesus is white and
Santa's white.
And you all need to be quiet. I need to put my earplugs back in my ears. I don't like this.
Hey, Megyn Kelly, Jesus wasn't white. Sorry.
Yeah, he really wasn't. You made us believe he was. You still make us believe he was. But yeah, these cartoons for years, there are not a lot of colored people in these cartoons.
Think about it. What's your favorite Christmas movie or show that you watch every year, if there is one? Or maybe not every year even, but that you know you've seen a million times.
Mine would be Jingle All the Way with Schwarzenegger and Sinbad. Now we got one. There's Sinbad.
There you go.
He's technically the token because they ain't any other stars who were colored, but we'll take it.
So I'm just trying to think of some popular, like, okay, if we're just going movies, you've
got
Rudolph
the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and of course it goes. I mean, white supremacy is all-encompassing. Even the English language, snowmen, white, pretty, white Christmas. You know, say Black Christmas.
See, now mine is A Christmas Story, and I mean, I can call out all kinds of racism in that movie. I mean, if you want to go with the classic racism when they go to the Chinese restaurant at the end, which is just nothing but a caricature of Chinese culture.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, like, there's no and now that's one of those films in which there are black people in the film, but they never interact with any of the main characters.
Like Seinfeld.
Yes.
The few that actually are on the show, they're actually that's more like Friends, I should say.
Yeah,
even the extras on Seinfeld, like 9 times out of 10 are white. Yeah, so like Friends. Yeah.
Let's see. It's a Wonderful Life. Of course.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm. Another one of my favorites, I'll say, is Scrooged, and I can't think of any person. I'm not going to say there's not, though. It's been a while since I've watched
like 9 of them, though. I don't know.
Well, only the first one's the one I've seen.
Okay.
Home Alone.
I don't remember any people calling that movie, or the second one.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Well, they went to Europe in one of those vacations, so I know.
Let's go with the Christmas one.
I'm just. I was going with the Hollywood trend of the sequel. I don't remember any. I didn't see that movie. It must have been the 90s. It was the last time I saw it.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I don't recall there being any people of color in that film.
Mm-hmm.
The Santa Claus, I don't think I saw that one.
Jeez, and I like Tim Allen. Oh, jeez.
Oh, you know what? One of my favorite Christmas movies is Die Hard.
I was trying to come up with a joke like that, but I couldn't think of one. So you beat me to it.
Die Hard is literally considered. I typed it just now, so where I'm reading this, I wouldn't be able to remember this all off the top of my head. Most popular Christmas movies, and like the 5th one down is Die Hard.
Wow. Did it come out?
It's based around Christmas.
Okay. I need to see Die Hard. I've never seen it.
No, in my heart.
Maybe I should watch it before the next show for our post-Christmas show.
You should, and then we can talk about the whole idea of quote-unquote terrorism, which we've kind of brought up, and then who's portrayed in popular culture prior to what we see now. Because Die Hard fits perfectly into that paradigm. Charlie Brown's Christmas.
Charlie, but they have, it's not Linus, but the other dude.
Yeah.
There's a token black dude in that one. He doesn't really speak that much. Shocking. And then, of course, there's whenever they make a film about who's Ace, you know who I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
It took me a second, but yeah.
JC. They're all white. All the actors are white.
Of course.
And it's been scientifically proven without a shadow of a doubt that Jesus was a man of color. In fact, you can make a legitimate argument that Jesus was born in Africa because, of course, Nazareth, Nazareth. There's a Nazareth in Ethiopia. Ho, 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 ho. Megyn Kelly's brain just exploded somewhere in an NBC studio.
I just brought it up as something to think about because, all these TV shows are going to be on now, and now I'm going to actually watch them, and I'm going to pay a whole lot more attention.
Yeah. And why did we celebrate it in December when he wasn't born in December?
Yeah, that's a whole other... April is more around the time for there any kind of proof. Because it's a pagan holiday.
Yeah. We don't do things correctly in Western society.
No, we just steal shit from other people.
There you go.
Oh, we hate you pagans, but we like that it's this day, so we're going to take that. We know that you're just celebrating that. That's where the tree comes from, too, is the pagan holiday. We know that you're celebrating Earth and this tree, and so we're going to just take that from you and then, oust you out of society.
Damn pesky pagans, but we'll take your stuff that we enjoy and make it all pretty.
I've never seen a TV show about Hanukkah. You know what? That's not true. I've seen the South Park episode about it.
That doesn't really count. I mean, a Christmas special.
Yeah,
you get Adam Sandler. There are no Ramadan specials. There are no
not at all.
About Muhammad. There are no movies made. I don't think I've ever seen a feature film about Hanukkah which is amazing because the story behind it is pretty enthralling. It's an exciting story, yet no movie about it. You got 8 Crazy Nights about Hanukkah, but not the actual original of it. Well, we have to. We're about out of time here, and we won't see y'all till after Christmas and right after Boxing Day for all y'all.
Boxing Day
in Canada and the UK. Gal, it's been great. I'm glad we're back, and I will talk to y'all soon. Y'all have a
wonderful holiday.
A wonderful holiday season. From Gal and I to you and yours. Oh. Merry Kwanzaa. I'm kidding. I don't want our show canceled. No, I'm kidding. But happy holidays, everybody. Y'all have a great December the 20th.
Bye, guys.